You boys be quiet down there!
Hey, let's bowl!
Welcome back to the series. We're going through every Neo Geo game in order by catalog number, and today we're looking at NGH-019, League Bowling. The game was released by SNK in 1990. We've looked at some good games so far in this series: NAM 1975, Alpha Mission 2, Mutation Nation, and Sengoku. But if we're talking about the truly great Neo Geo games, League Bowling is, after Magician Lord, only the second we've seen so far in this series. Yes, with League Bowling we've just started to graze the realm of the Neo Geo heavy hitters. This game has simply aged better than the other titles we've looked at so far. If you're an arcade operator trying to decide which Neo Geo games to populate your MVS with, League Bowling is the first game we've come to that still holds its own against the wider modern Neo Geo library. And not to oversell it, because a big part of the appeal of League Bowling is its simplicity. Whereas Magician Lord was difficult, requiring patience and study, League Bowling is pick up and play. It's a crowd pleaser. League Bowling certainly isn't the first arcade bowling game, but it's surprising how few there had been up to this point. There's a continuing tradition of arcade bowling games to this day, but League Bowling is a milestone achievement. We have 3 different play modes to choose from here, but Regulation is the basic play mode that you will probably select more often than not. You'll notice there's a memory card option here, but the only thing the memory card saves are your user preferences, the ball weight, and your right or left-handed settings. If you don't load from a card, you'll simply have to select them each time before playing, which is really no big deal. The memory card is almost just a gimmick in this game, and isn't necessary. The ball weight and the right or left-handed settings are nice to have, since they have a minor impact on the ball physics and your aiming, so being able to edit these adds some variation into the game, rather than always playing exactly the same game of bowling. You should play around with this, and you'll likely find the settings that best suit you. So you'll probably end up sticking to the same settings most of the time. You can select 1 to 4 players, or multi-link play. If you select 3 or 4 players here, you will have to pass the controller to the 3rd and 4th players during gameplay, as you share 2 controllers on one console. But if you want to get really fancy, have multiple Neo Geos and League Bowling cartridges, and don't want to pass controllers, you have the multi-link play option, where you can link up to 4 MVS systems together for simultaneous play between up to 8 players, 2 players per system. League Bowling is one of 3 Neo Geo titles to support the link cable, and the only one to support linking more than 2 systems. However, unlike the MVS, the AES version officially only supports 2 consoles linked, rather than 4, for a maximum of 4 players. Simply connect a stereo male-to-male headphone cable between multiple carts. In case you're curious how it works, after you select multi-link play on one system and select a game mode, it then automatically puts the linked consoles into wait mode, where other players have 20 seconds to enter the game. So why would you actually want to do this? To be honest, like the memory card, the multi-link play is mostly just a gimmick. The game of bowling is often a team sport, but there is no actual interaction between players in the game. Contrary to what you may have witnessed at kids' birthday parties, bowling isn't played by having 2 bowlers throw their balls down the same lane at the same time and watching the balls ricochet off each other. The action itself is a purely solo experience in bowling, so the only reason you'd actually want to link multiple systems together is to bowl at the same time and have everyone complete their frames together while keeping track of the score in real time. That's literally all that the link feature does. It just tallies everyone's scores on the same scoreboard and waits for all players to finish the frame before proceeding. If you've ever seen multiple machines linked together for League Bowling in an actual arcade setting, then consider yourself lucky, because there wasn't much reason at all for arcade operators to do this, and little incentive for players to coin up together. The only scenarios I can think of would be like when the game was brand new in a large arcade, or I suppose this would have made a cool tournament. When Neo Geo Bowl was around, some linked cabinets with this game would have been cool to have while waiting for your lane to open up. Here I am with some other Neo Geo fans attempting 6-player League Bowling on 3 consoles, a consoleized MVS and 2 AESs. We ran into a lot of issues along the way because we knew that the game was never meant to be linked like this. You see, MVS systems have 8 hard dip switches built in. Dip switches 4 through 6 are used as address settings when linking multiple MVS machines together. This is how the game is able to keep track of each system, since the link cable is literally just a stereo headphone cable. The Neo Geo Home AES system lacks these 8 dip switches, so there is no way to set the address, and that's why the home version only allows up to 2 consoles to be linked together. Despite this, the group of us plowed ahead with linking 2 AESs to one consoleized MVS, which had the Unibios installed. We managed to successfully complete one entire 6-player game somehow, but all the other times we either ran into a Unibios error at some point during the course of the game, or were unable to establish the communication between all 3 systems at the start of the game. Sometimes one of the systems simply stopped communicating mid-game, and finished out the game without tallying the remaining scores from the other systems. But the main question here is, how does League Bowling play? Reviewers at the time complained that the controls are awkward, but they got it wrong. The controls are extremely simple. A Neo Geo controller has 4 buttons, but the A button is the only one that gets any love here. Move the stick left and right to position your bowler. Up and down aren't used in this game either. You've got a bar with an indicator moving left and right, so press A at the moment when it's at the angle you'd like to throw. Then you get a power meter, and this is my favorite part. As the power meter is filling, you can still move your bowler to adjust your angle of attack. This is incredibly useful for making adjustments in case you didn't quite hit the angle you wanted on the bar. That continuous control of your bowler is the interactivity that gives such a simple game that flavor of complexity that will keep you coming back for more. The angle indicator and the power bar lend the game the same elements of challenge as in a golf game. Leave it to SNK to take such a simple concept and make it fast and fun. This lady looks so tall. I wonder what the rest of her looks like. I knew it! It's a quick, snappy experience, which is a prime component of League Bowling's arcade-style addictiveness. In the same way that Neo Turf Masters speeds the game of golf up to a brisk arcade-style pace, League Bowling is constantly giving you instant feedback as you continuously throw balls down the lane. A complete game of 10 frames goes by awfully fast, and at that point you will likely be ready to start up a new round. This is how they kept you feeding coins into the machines in the arcade, and that same addictiveness works beautifully at home as well. If you've only got a few minutes to play, you can do a round or two. A 2-player regulation game can be completed in about 3 minutes. This is why League Bowling succeeds. It's that instant gratification. Just like in real bowling, you get the sound of the ball as it hits the lane, then smacks into the pins, all brought to life so vividly by the Neo Geo sound and graphics, a feat no one else had achieved at the time. You get that bright flash as the pins are struck. It's the same animated feedback mechanism that makes it addictive to hit enemies in a fighting game, or open fire on a boss in a shooter. And that's the whole experience. When the game is over, the player ranking is shown and you get to enter your name.
Are poo and ass taken?
Yeah.
Then it's back to the title screen to do it all over again. I love this simple graphic at the game over screen. I want to go back to whatever year this is and just hang out at this fictional SNK bowl that never existed. Looks like the most popular hangout in town. As I mentioned, the sound and graphics are a big part of what makes League Bowling work. You get a real-time, very animated reaction from your character as the ball rolls down the lane, followed by an animation depending on the outcome. Like in Baseball Stars Professional, the crowd and your character are utterly charming. You didn't get this level of detail on any other game system at the time, and SNK has made the most of the Neo Geo's power here. You've got bright flashing lights and a detailed animated crowd cheering you on all along. Even the pins and the red ball themselves are characters here. One noticeable omission is the lack of a character select. Everyone plays as the same character, although they are different colors, and half of them have SNK caps. The ability to play as a female bowler seems like an obvious option to include, but I suppose that would have effectively doubled the main character graphics in the game, so it's understandable why it's not here. Still though, why not? After all, bigger, badder, better. In addition to the regulation mode, you can choose from Flash and Strike 90. The only difference in Flash is that you have 2 rows of possible scores with a moving indicator during play. Depending on the scores it lands on when you hit the pins, you'll receive a bonus of the amount on top for a strike or the bottom amount for a spare. Perhaps this is the mode for you if you like adding an element of chance to the game, but otherwise the game is the same. Strike 90 also changes scoring, but again no other differences. In this mode you'll be awarded 90 points for a strike and 60 points for a spare, effectively ramping up the pressure to score a perfect frame. The music in League Bowling is extremely simple, but works well. Except for the percussion samples, it consists almost completely of FM sound from the Neo Geo synthesizer. It's basically the same sound that one might associate with the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis, but it does give you that upbeat arcade feel that matches the gameplay. Each of the 3 modes has its own main music theme. The music tracks here are so incredibly short, you literally heard the entire main theme that plays during a regulation game in the intro to this video. It only plays for less than 12 seconds before it loops. But that's okay, because the music will be constantly interrupted by the little musical themes that play depending on the outcome of your throw. These music cues too provide that instant feedback that powers the game. When you hit a strike or pick up that spare, you feel the glory of victory from the soundtrack, or the shame when you miss. And the sound effects play as much a role here as the music. Now let's take a look at the Neo Geo CD version of League Bowling and see how it compares to the cartridge version. There's only one track on the disc, and it seems to be the opening and title screen. So for League Bowling, what they seem to have done is put the cartridge version on the disc, music and all. This is similar to how the CD version of Puzzle Bobble was handled. So unlike most Neo Geo CDs, where the music is played from CD audio tracks, the music in League Bowling and Puzzle Bobble is actually played by the synthesizer in the system, giving you the exact same audio experience as the cartridge. By the way, the reason the CD version of Puzzle Bobble is set up like this is because the music needs to be able to speed up and slow down, depending on the gameplay, not possible when playing the audio from the CD. This setup is ideal for League Bowling since the music is constantly changing depending on the outcome of the ball you threw. There's no time to wait for the disc to access the music. In order to avoid the waits caused by CD access times that I've discussed at length in previous videos, in League Bowling the music is all preloaded off of the CD and ready for the internal synthesizer to play at a moment's notice. This wouldn't work for many Neo Geo CD games, since most games take too much memory for the CD system's limited audio RAM. But for a simple 26 meg game like League Bowling, which doesn't have a tremendous amount of music and samples, it's possible to preload all the music for the system's synthesizer. I guess they must have just ran out of space and put the opening on a CD audio track, where speed doesn't matter. A wise move. The way SNK handled the CD version of this game is very smart, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. The result is a seamless version of the game that loads up in a cool 25 seconds and provides an experience identical to the cartridge. Not to oversell it, League Bowling is a simple game without a lot of variation to the gameplay. There's not much variety, and the 3 different scoring modes do little to improve that. But it's that simplicity that you want in an arcade sports game, and the reason League Bowling really shines. It's that, ooh, maybe just one more round addictiveness that will keep you and your friends playing. An operator of an MVS cabinet would do well to put this game on rotation even today. League Bowling does the Neo Geo proud with one of the best bowling games ever made.
Woohoo! Perfection!
Thank you for watching. On the next episode, we'll be looking at NGH-020, Ghost Pilots, so please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.